Look like Caitlin Clark's name is coming up in all of this unrivaled ratings disaster, and ESPN finally told the truth about it all, man. Caitlin Clark minding her own business, going to Nike headquarters, shooting from anywhere from the steps, and I just got to be honest with you, man. To me, I don't think Caitlin give two flying about Unrivaled, bro. I just got to be honest. Now, there's people in the media trying to say that Unrivaled is failing due to Caitlin. No, they're failing because the product is bad.
Caitlin Clark just had one of those weeks where her name shows up in every corner of sports, not just WNBA, everywhere. One headline says her off-season move is starting to surface. Another asks the same question fans keep arguing about. Is she playing in Unrivaled or not? But the biggest fire this week is not even about a game. It's the WNBA deadline talk. Because once the internet smells deadline ignored, the story changes. It stops feeling like business and starts feeling like a fight. And in sports fights, there is always one person who becomes the symbol.
See, people can say what they want. Caitlin Clark is simply the driving force behind a lot of the WNBA recent success, and it looked like ESPN has completely admitted it. Now, that's a reality check of a lifetime, dog. I just got to keep it real. Now, with that being said, man, I want to share something here with you guys.
Therefore, the league's biggest week turns into the same conversation. What happens if the WNBA enters chaos, with Caitlin Clark at the center of it? And here's the wild part. In the same week, people are throwing around words like lockout, crisis, and leverage. Caitlin is also trending for talking about LeBron, reacting to an NBA player's breakout, and even popping up in NFL news.
LeBron never messaged me directly, but it's been cool to just see his support of myself and the W overall. You can tell he really watches and turns it on, and yeah, he's been kind of a big fan of myself from college and now in the W. So, I mean, he's the greatest basketball player of all time. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't want to compare myself to anybody else. I don't like that.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing to conjure.
Yeah. But I don't know. I hate saying this because LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. But obviously, he didn't even go to college, and he had all these expectations coming out of high school to be the greatest player ever. And obviously, that's a lot. That's a lot to take on your shoulders and a lot for the NBA at the time.
That is not normal. That is what it looks like when one athlete becomes the main character of the entire sports cycle. Let's start with the thing everyone keeps circling, the offseason. This week, multiple outlets push the same theme in different ways. Caitlin Clark's next move is becoming a story by itself. Even when nothing is official, the rumors do what rumors always do. They create teams in people's heads. One side says she should protect her body, rest, and come back even sharper. The other side says if she plays, she breaks the internet again. Therefore, the unrivaled question won't die. Is she in or is she out? And notice how strange that is.
Now, I told y'all last year that Unrivaled was on a needle and a thread contract because that means that they kind of on borrowed time. If this thing don't work, guess what they're going to do? They're going to ball it up and can it. And that's exactly possibly what's about to go down with Unrivaled, bro. I haven't watched any of it. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I ain't going to get on here and lie. And I know many of you guys probably have not watched it either, but it's quite funny hearing all of the bad stories coming out about the show. Then people had the nerve to get mad that Caitlin Clark didn't do it. Caitlin Clark didn't want to associate herself with this buffoonery, with this dumpster fire. Y'all really think Caitlin Clark wanted to be a part of that? Her brand is too big and too special to be a part of this damn circus. It's bad enough she got to play in the WNBA, Ribleys, and I'm here to tell you, she definitely didn't want to take on this goddamn me circus.
Most WNBA players can have a quiet offseason. Caitlin can't. Because her offseason isn't treated like downtime. It's treated like a national decision. But Unrivaled isn't just about fitness or basketball. It's about power. If Caitlin joins, it validates the league. If she doesn't, people treat it like a rejection. That's why even a simple maybe becomes a full week of headlines. And this is where it gets even more interesting. You also had a headline about Kate Martin basically pitching the idea of getting Caitlyn to Unrivaled. That matters because it shows something real. Caitlyn isn't being chased like a normal star. She's being recruited like a franchise. Now let's talk about the week's most explosive angle, the WNBA deadline talk. This is the one that turns everything into gasoline. Because when a deadline is mentioned, fans don't hear negotiation, they hear war. And once the word lockout shows up near Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the story becomes bigger than basketball. It becomes fear. Fear of lost games. Fear of lost momentum. Fear that the league finally has attention and will fumble it. But here's what really makes this angle viral. Caitlyn's name becomes leverage for both sides. Fans will say, "You can't waste the Clark era." Players will say, "You can't profit off this era without paying fairly." Owners will say, "We have to make the numbers work." Therefore, Caitlyn ends up in the middle, even if she never says a word. And that leads into the most dramatic headline of the week. The one basically saying fans are debating if Caitlyn will accidentally destroy the WNBA. That's an insane phrase, but it reveals something true about the moment. People don't know how to handle a superstar this big inside a league that is still building its structure, so they turn it into extremes. She's saving the league. She's exposing the league. She's bigger than the league. The league can't control the wave. But the real point is simpler. Caitlyn is forcing pressure onto everything that used to hide in the shadows. Scheduling, officiating, marketing, pay, media narratives. That's why every argument feels personal now. Because when the money grows, the stakes grow. And when the stakes grow, everybody fights harder to control the story. Now here's the part that makes this week feel surreal. While all of that WNBA chaos is happening, Caitlyn also trended for stepping into the NBA's favorite fight, the GOAT debate. One headline pushed the idea that she ended the GOAT debate by saying LeBron is the best ever. Whether you agree or not, it's a perfect example of the Clark effect. A WNBA player says a sentence, and it becomes an internet war. Because Caitlyn isn't just watched by WNBA fans, she's watched by NBA fans. She's watched by sports media. She's watched by people who don't even watch women's basketball, but still react to her, like she's part of the main NBA conversation. Therefore, her opinion doesn't land like a normal opinion. It lands like a headline, and the crossover didn't stop there. Another story had Caitlyn showing up in NFL news, with mentions tied to George Kittle's injury situation. Again, it's not just nice message content, it's proof of cultural reach. When Caitlyn is part of the same news cycle as the NFL, it means she's not being treated like a niche star. She's being treated like a top-tier American sports figure. But the sneakiest story this week is the one that sounds small. Caitlyn reacting to an NBA player's breakout stretch. That seems harmless, but it's actually another example of how the media uses her. Because Caitlyn reacting is content now. Her 2 words can become a story. That's the reality of celebrity-level attention. The reaction becomes the product. And finally, you had the pay gap headline. Women shut out again from the list of top 100 highest paid athletes. That story always hits harder when Caitlyn is in the conversation, because she's the easiest example of how big women's sports can get, and how far the money still has to go. Therefore, this week wasn't just random news. It was one clear message. The sport is growing, but the system is stressed. Put all of this together and you get the real headline of the week. Caitlin Clark has become the pressure test for the entire league. If the WNBA handles this era well, it becomes the next major sports machine. But if the league misplays the moment, the anger won't be quiet. Because the attention is too big now. The off-season rumors show how every move becomes a national event. The unrivaled talk shows how her presence can validate or crush a project. The deadline and lockout language shows how fragile the business side still feels. The destroy the WNBA debate shows how people sense the league isn't fully built for a superstar this massive. And the NBA and NFL crossover shows something even bigger. Caitlyn is not fighting for relevance anymore. The league is fighting to keep up with her relevance. Therefore, next week is going to be even louder. Because deadlines don't fade away, they collide. And when they collide, Caitlin Clark's name is going to be the first thing everyone tries to use. If you're still watching, drop Weekly Clark in the comments.